Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
On this episode of Tiger Turf Talk, we host Danny Losito of the Carolina Panthers, Ryan Bjorn of the New England Patriots, Travis Hogan of the Kansas City Chiefs, and Mr. Nick Pappas, the man in charge of international games for the National Football League. When you talk about one of the most incredible podcasts we have done, these men have done so many things in this industry and have accomplished so much when it comes to their work, when it comes to just the overall effort that they put into advancing not only this industry, not only the game of football, but really the science-based facts that are required in order to maintain a field at the highest level. We had an absolute blast with this podcast. We dove into all the different things they have going on. Travis, thank you so much for hopping on Zoom call. Obviously, we would love to have you there in Salt Lake, but it was truly an honor to have all of these men on to talk about, again, the important things that are going on when it comes to player safety, when it comes to maintenance of the field, when it comes to just overall practices, when it comes in not only just our game, but also those of the international, where they're playing in Munich at Alliance Stadium, one of the largest facilities when it comes to soccer in the entire world, to obviously the construction of fields. We touched base on the fact that Tottenham Stadium was engineered to host NFL games while preserving the integrity of the Premier League pitch that is Tottenham Stadium, and it truly is fascinating to get catch up with these guys and what they're doing. It truly has been an honor to talk to them and work alongside some of them. Obviously, being able to visit two of their sites has been some of the best parts of my time in this industry, and just being able to, talk about everything they have going on in their lives, and to be able to have a good relationship with these guys, it truly made for an incredible podcast. And their passion for furthering this industry, similar to our program, is unparalleled. All they want is to leave it better than they found it, and that's something that Travis just spoke to me after the podcast, actually, that has stuck with me. We as an industry want to leave what we found better than when we first got there, and that's truly what our program is all about, is to showcase the incredible work of these men and showcase the incredible industry professionals that we have, and to be able to do that at the national conference and to be able to do that with these guys, it truly was an honor, and I can't thank them enough for all that they do. Obviously, Danny having us down for the ACC championship, and hopefully more to come, and we're so excited for you guys to hear this podcast with these incredible guys. We hope you enjoy this episode of Tiger Turf Talk. All right, let's get started. We got our NFL panel today. Some of the greatest in this industry at this table and on Zoom. Travis, thank you for joining in. What you guys are doing, it's unparalleled with all the different things that are going on. I do want to get into all the international stuff that you're working with. But sort of just how has your guys' year been? It's been chaotic, left, right, and center, and being able to sort of come to this after a well-earned hard work season with your staffs. What has it been like to sort of decompress and have time together here at SFMA?
Trav, you want to take this? Since you're
really? We're gonna make me look like a jack. Come on, Ryan.
The only one who's still working.
Nice.
Travis, I'm sorry. That was insensitive of me to ask that question.
It's probably pretty nice.
He's top dressing right now,
meanwhile,
guys. He's top dressing this field.
I have snow cutting in on Saturday. Go ahead. As long as you're having fun, that's cool.
I'm sorry. Oh, gosh. So for the gentlemen that are here, if you want to answer the question before I get in more trouble.
Go, Danny.
Yeah. No, it's been good. We had obviously a busy year for everyone.
Talking to the mic, Danny.
Lobby Lenny. No, so we just wrapped up. Obviously didn't make the playoffs, but
Almost did.
Almost did. At the end, it was one of those situations you want it to happen, and then you're also thinking about the time off. So we it's a much needed break here, and it's good to kind of get back together. And I had a 2-year hiatus from this conference, so this is good to see everyone and kind of get back together. And fly back tomorrow, and soccer practice starts Friday. So here we go.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys do that.
Yeah, same. I mean, we were on the cusp of making the playoffs. We got eliminated at the last minute. Week 18, football season was over on Sunday, and Revs started practicing on Monday. So, I tweeted 12-hour off season's over, and we're back to it. But same with Danny. It's been 3 years since I've been able to go to a conference, and I came up in the industry coming to these things every year, and it's such a great opportunity for everybody to network and learn as much as we can from each other. And so it's a double-edged sword. Obviously, we'd still love to be playing football right now, but it's good to be here. It's good to be hanging out with everybody and learning as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, completely different situation for me this year, right? So transitioning away from the stadium full-time, taking on the NFL international side, getting into some commercial work on the commercial side of the industry, all while still also, going in and working with the stadium crew where I can and help out and still keep my feet in kind of in the dirt down there. It was a fun season. I mean, a lot of travel for me this year, and kind of jumping overseas to London and Germany and Mexico. But it was a full season like anyone. It's still football, right? Regardless of where you're doing it. So
100%.
It's been a full season, but a different season for me. Not the standard routine that I was used to the last so many years. So, but it's just good to be here. Good to be out at the conference. Obviously, great to have these guys back here at the conference. And this is what it's about, right? Getting back together and talking shop and figuring out how we can continue to elevate the industry.
Now, Travis, obviously, it feels great to be a winner, out of this group, Don't worry, I'll take jabs the other way just for you, Travis. I will.
Hey, good way to dig yourself out of that one, Drew.
I can buy you guys beer later. I can't buy him a beer later. So, what is it?
Honestly, right? Let me make sure. Who all's at the table? Obviously, I can only see Lenny. I don't know.
It's Ryan Bjorn and Nick Pappas.
Nick, is it Ryan?
Ryan Bjorn, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I could have told you that group was losers before you started, but if that's who you pick, that's cool.
Travis is actually still working on trying to dry paint. That's what he did the entire time he was in London. It's really his best quality at this point.
I'm really good at holding the hose and drying paint. It's one of my specialties.
It's one of my specialties. So obviously you're going through a lot right now. I mean, it's been like an Arctic blast for you there in Kansas City. What has it been like? I mean, you're showing everyone all the science-based facts that truly show what a sports field manager is. What has it been like sort of getting ready for this big playoff time for you guys and the Chiefs?
The last couple games were wild because we hit -8 with the high of 0. It was like 40 wind chills. And you're just trying to figure out how you're going to keep it alive, right? Like, we're going to uncover the field at 6 degrees. And so 5 or 6 years ago, we uncovered, and I literally watched the field die as the tarps came off. It was crazy because, as we went to the next tarp, where we took a tarp off was already black as you pulled the next tarp. So we were trying to figure out how we were going to avoid that complete death this year. So we took the tarps off for a couple days, like Tuesday, Wednesday, and just let soil temps get down to like 40 and just tried to shut the ryegrass completely down. And we did a pretty good job of that. We took the tarps off in 6 degrees. It was a high of 12. And then, obviously we got pretty bad tip burn. And so next week, the field actually looked horrible. It didn't look as bad on TV as it did standing on it, but we were probably tip burned a good ½ inch of the plant. And so it looked pretty brown. And then we threw a fur brew at it after that and brought soil tips back up to like 60 degrees, 65, and grew out of it. And then, we had that, I bought that grain mixer. We pre-germed like 700 pounds of seed and put it through the grain mixer and got it out through a Vicon. We did 700 pounds in like an hour and a half. So that helped a lot going into this game. Middle, we hit the east end, had the most damage, sidelines, all that stuff. So it's a constant battle with Mother Nature in Kansas City. You can go from -8 to 68 like a 4-day span. So you just don't know what you're going to get.
Sorry, I was just curious, that mixer that you bought, Travis, is it heated or is it just like room temperature?
So I love this.
No, so it's basically the hardest part with pre-germ is just getting it out. Just wet seed out. So we took one of our paint totes, we cut the top off of it, and it'll hold 14 bags in the paint tote. And so we held it down with buckets of paint on top of the top 2 bags and just filled it and drained it for 3 days. Then we set it out over our paint pit, which is like metal grates, for a good 24 to 30 hours in a 70-degree shop. Just kind of let them heat up. And then the cool thing with the grain mixture is instead of trying to like figure out how you're going to dry it, you just put it in there with maybe a bag. We used, like the brew we came up with was 3 bags of pre-germ seed, 1 bag of dry seed, and then 4 bags of turf mint and 3 bags of Milorganite. And that basically made the entire perfect Vicon hopper. So we just filled the Vicon, he went down, we threw the next brew in, the seed mixer, the grain mixer, and had the next brew basically ready by the time he came back to the shop.
That's interesting.
It's just crazy. That's awesome. Yeah, Nick, obviously, with the shift to the NFL, with international play and everything, what has that sort of been like developing? It's become such a big thing, and guys, sorry, Ryan, they've been able to go over and see different. I just feel like a jerk this entire podcast. But being able to go to different countries, and it's so much bigger now than just one game. Tottenham being able to sort of structure everything, knowing that there's going to be events constantly over there in England, to now going to Germany for the first time. What has it been like taking on that role and seeing the guys come together and being able to have the opportunity to go abroad and see what it's like to, again, see football in a completely different way,
Yeah, for me, rewarding, right? So in so many different levels. Obviously, we've had a ton of success with putting on games out there, right? No major issues as the games went on. We've seen different field conditions at each location. Obviously, we had 2 different locations in London between Tottenham and Wembley, one synthetic, one's natural. We've got, different natural grass in Munich from what we've got in Mexico City. So very different situations at each, but all of them successful in their own way. But outside of the successes that NFL is having these games, right, we're seeing massive crowd attendance and we're seeing the stadiums fill up. They said it was like in the millions for tickets for the Munich game, right? And Danny was there. The crowd's electric at these things. It's really rewarding from that side, right? So there's a ton of success for the actual NFL and the games themselves. But for me, it's rewarding because, one, it's a different challenge. I get to work with some of the best guys in the industry, both here and wherever we go. I'm learning from my colleagues here. I'm learning from colleagues when we go over to a different stadium. Each situation I put myself in, whether it's an uncomfortable one or a comfortable one, you're learning. Every stadium's different, as I was saying, with turf types and everything. It's rewarding through and through for me, and obviously I've enjoyed getting to spend time with some of the guys that historically we've maybe gotten to do it once on like a Super Bowl crew. Now I'm getting to do it 5 games a year or whatever this maybe grows to at some point. It's fun.
It's sky's the limit with it, honestly. Danny, you can speak to this. What was it like in Germany? There are videos of Country Road and all of these things, and then the video that came out, you guys prepping, and it's just incredible to see all of those things. What was that experience like for you, and sort of seeing it all come to light through the work you guys had?
It was unique for me because I'd never been overseas before, so that was my first kind of culture shock and introduction into that. And then, what's the stadium hold? 80,000?
Yeah, something like
a little
that.
over that.
Yeah.
So 80,000, half, people from all over the world singing John Denver and Sweet Caroline, and that was kind of actually the highlight for me, just to see after the game ended, they wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
They just kept singing and having fun, and that was amazing because it's not the environment we get at home, and I think they did a great job of kind of showcasing their love for the sport and obviously where that's trending and where that's going and how it's growing. So that was really cool. And then for me, just getting to network with more guys that I hadn't met before in the league, getting to work with guys like Carl from Wembley, and just getting to pick their brains nonstop and great conversation at dinner, and just the stuff that we get here, it's there, and the morale's high. Everyone wants to be there. It's a good blend of skill sets, background experience, and knowledge. So it's awesome.
And Travis, you can speak to the England event, this past year. What is it sort of like, again, like he's talking to Carl and all these different guys, you guys have all created these relationships already, but being able to go back, what is it like to, again, see sort of all of these events come to light and see those players take, again, stage on a different type of stage, but again, something that's truly incredible?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time I've actually been over there, so it was super cool to get to go work it. I really wanted to do work at Tottenham because I feel like that setup is kind of what the future could potentially look like in the United States of, how fields can move in and out, what's the best way to do it. I really wanted to see it from just how they grow grass, how they do it inside. The game was awesome, and to see the crowd, how they just want to yell, man. They want to drink and they want to yell. They want to have fun. And the atmosphere was super cool. But for me personally, the biggest reason I wanted to go was to really pick Wayne's brain and also just really see the place and figure out, I don't know what will happen in Kansas City down the road, what we'll do. But if we ever built a stadium, I want to see, every stadium I possibly can to figure out what the best way to put one together to obviously maintain natural grass and also be able to have the events that, the stadiums want to have these days.
And leading into that, and I'll go to Ryan here on this one. Honestly, I've met so many of you NFL guys, and you guys are all incredible. And one of the things that I think you guys are, we have some of the brightest minds in the NFL jobs. You guys are always looking for that next step, that next thing that can make things better, that next thing, scientifically speaking, that will give you the edge on your playing surface. What has it been like, again, sort of working together, bouncing ideas off of each other, sort of to develop where you can take things from these international events, bring them back to your own place when it comes to everything that you're doing,
I think part of this show, one of the biggest things that we preach is networking and building that network. And, I feel like we have a really strong, I'm fairly new to it, and Danny's fairly new to the NFL, and even Nick. I mean, we're all new to it, but everybody was so welcoming, and kind of come into the group and here's everyone and here's the information, and there's nobody in the league that I wouldn't feel comfortable sending a text or shooting a phone call to, and I hope that they feel the same way. But expanding on that, it's more of a national thing. There's plenty that we can learn from other field managers that aren't in the NFL or internationally too. I've been lucky enough to meet Carl and some of those guys through SFMA in previous years, and I haven't had the opportunity to work international games with them. But just bouncing ideas off each other and learning what their tactics are, how can we relate to that, them picking up on things that we do here. It's really what it's all about. And I'm just lucky to be a part of it and have people like this to communicate with. And the last thing I want to do is pump Travis's tires any more than he needs. But I think he's been an incredible resource just on social media and putting himself out there. A lot of people are hesitant to do that, but he's not afraid to try new things and push the industry forward, and that's what we need.
So Travis, if you didn't know, I mentioned you in our presentation about how you are so forward thinking and putting everything out on social media and having that scientific background that many people really don't put out is truly what's going to change this industry. Because when we talk about sort of like a labor intensive industry, it's obviously there, but when you put labor with an industry, it's important to understand that this industry is so scientifically based, and especially at the NFL level, you guys are all trying to figure out what's that next step for science. And Travis, again, I can't thank you enough for all that you do. Again, even just social media wise, putting out new ideas. I mean, you're going through something that doesn't happen too often, taking covers off in 6-degree weather. You know, it just doesn't happen that often. And you're trying to combat that with new and innovative things. So that's stuff that it inspires me to be better at what I do at the level that I am. Obviously, I'm not really I don't have that much options, but I try with what I have. But it inspires my kids too. So it's definitely something that I really appreciate. Dan, if you want to speak sort of that, again, sort of that camaraderie and understanding of bouncing ideas and creating new opportunities for you in Carolina that you sort of maybe gotten from the Alliance trip and different things with that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, same thing kind of as before. The guys that I didn't know already, super welcoming. They take you right in, and then you get over there and you meet the local crew, right? And these guys are amazing. And we were joking about it when we were there. Can you imagine if, 12 Germans came into your shop, took over, set down their bags, took over your break room, hung their
Speaking
coats,
a language you don't know.
Speaking a language you have no idea about. And they spoke much better English than we could even attempt to speak.
By far.
Right, so when we get there, we're all like, I can't imagine, you know. And now we're touching their equipment. Now we're touching their grow lights. We're starting to roll things around. They're, you know, and they were the most patient people. Alex was amazing to us. Obviously, like Nick and his relationship through that whole process was phenomenal. But you could see them learning from us as much as we were. So he was extremely thankful, I think, for this opportunity for us to be there, because he was like, his eyes were wide the whole time. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys do this. They probably never seen that much paint before go down on the field. Just in general, right? They don't see football paint. They don't see filled end zones. They don't see that stuff. So, and then the amount of bodies we would throw to a task, right? Like the way we tackle things as a group, they don't have that, right? They work in smaller crews. Obviously a lot less painting and stuff to do. So that was cool for me to see, and just kind of how, personally, to see how Alex interacted with Nick, and just kind of like how welcoming he was. And at the end, you know, he gave a nice speech at the end, and it meant a lot to us to see that, and like how much it meant to him. So I think we took away the same amount, like all of us that were there took away something, and pretty unforgettable experience.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you think that type of experience, you know, I think a lot of people, you say you guys went over there and you got 12 foreigners coming in, dropping their stuff and just taking over. You know, I think a lot of people would be pretty hesitant if that happened at their facility right now. But do you think experiencing that and seeing how welcoming they are would kind of change your perspective, or help change other people's perspectives, just to so, like, you know, if that did happen to us, you know, we'd be trying to be as welcoming as possible as well.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, I think a lot of us are, right? Like that's because at the root of it, they're not coming over to do something, you know, completely out of the world, right? It's our world, it's our art, it's our craft. So you get to see it, and you share, and you build, and you grow, and that's a big part of it. So they're doing the same job in a different way. So it's immediate learning, right? You get an opportunity to see something that, you know, we don't see.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, you would hope that you would be easily accepted, and vice versa, and you would have them in there. And I know it's hard when, you know, I haven't experienced a Super Bowl, but Nick has, and people come in, and, you know, you have to basically watch them run your show. And that's there's probably some difficulty in that, but you get used to it quick, and then
but that's
you
one
can
of
speak to that.
That's one of the things, though, right? So
Yeah.
like I did the Tottenham games last year, right? And not in the role that I'm in now. So it was just a different scenario. So I got to meet Wayne, the head groundskeeper at Tottenham last year, and we really hit it off. It's a great relationship. We kept in touch throughout the off season. Fast forward to August of this year, I take on the NFL International gig, reach out to Wayne, and one of the first things he sends me is, I'd really like this to be collaborative. That was his one request to me. He was like, I want my guys and my crew to be as much a part of everything as they can be. Understanding that, look, we're coming in with a specialty to make sure that we deliver a product, and at the end of the day, that's the expectation, right? We made them a promise, absolutely. Whatever they want to be part of, come out and be a part of it. They want to learn something, let's do it. I'm going to need the same in return, right? I'm showing up to a stadium that's not mine. I don't have all the tools there, I don't have all the spaces, I don't have the resources. Like, I am very reliant on somebody else to be able to provide me the tools so that we can work as a group. So I think it's a leadership style, or it's a management style, right? It doesn't need to feel like somebody's coming in and taking over. I think the reason, Alex at Allianz Arena in Munich, his patience was through the roof, unbelievable, right? He also got a lot of guys that asked him questions, wanted to learn, accepted him immediately and embraced him and said, what can we do to make life good? We don't want to come in here and just take over your shop, right? It might seem that way from an outsider's perspective, but it was, to me, it never felt that way. The whole time, it was always a collaborative effort, and having already done three games, and obviously Carl being a part of the Munich crew, after Carl being a host at Wembley and Nick Fettewa running that show, we were able to take that culture to Munich with us with a collaborative approach, knowing that that's how we were going to attack it. So it doesn't need to feel like this group of guys comes in and takes over your stadium. And there's certainly been events and times where I think guys have felt like that, and that is a hard concept, right? That's a tough pill to swallow, because there you are, something that you put all your effort into all the time. That's your field, that's your baby. To have someone come in and take it over and maybe run it in a different way, or run it in a manner that maybe you wouldn't have, not always better or worse, just different, can be a tough pill to swallow. So for me, whenever we go to these stadiums, my goal is to make it collaborative 100% with the crew that's there, and figure out how can we all work together, and then obviously how can we learn from each other.
That's the way it's done. Sorry.
No, don't you think that's how this whole industry is, though? I feel like of all the industries in the world, I feel like our industry is one of the most tight-knit that you can possibly be a part of. Now, I'm not talking about just NFL. I mean just groundskeepers in general, whether it's golf or whether it's sports, like any grass grower. We all know the challenges. Obviously, I don't know the challenges they face in Germany, right? But I do know that they face challenges. I know that I've worked all over the country, and every place you go, you think, oh, this is going to be easier than this place I was at. And you're like, oh, man, they got these challenges I never even thought about, I feel like this industry is a very welcoming industry, and we all respect each other tremendously because we all know that we are all facing crazy challenges all the time.
I think those are the values we should be pushing, for sure, and I think that's what needs to continue. But I think it's this gathering, right, at events like this, or anytime we have the option, and pushing that agenda, Trav, because I as much as I love this industry, I think in any industry you'll always find divisiveness, and I think the opportunity is right. So, Drew, you have almost a responsibility to avoid some of that, right? You're getting out on a public setting for our industry at this point. You've become kind of a staple in being able to talk with people, and
I appreciate that.
as much as it might sound crazy, like there's a responsibility with that, right? It's a media responsibility, right?
Hopefully
the media has
responsible. I don't know if I am, but hopefully I am.
But there's a media's responsibility to portray fields in the right way too, and these are the things that we fight. So we always want to make sure that what Trav just talked about, like that is what we need to be working towards at all times.
100%.
Is collaborative work where we accept each other in different scenarios, knowing we all have different types of challenges, because your challenges are different from mine, and they're different from Danny's, and all over the world, and we've all got to just figure out what works best and how we can help each other.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. And again, another thing with you three, obviously with synthetic, it's important to understand that those are very critical playing services that you guys are taking care of. It's not just a one over like everybody thinks at the high school level. Like you guys are doing professional work at the highest level. You don't understand how much goes into it when it comes from sort of an outside looking in type of thing. So again, you guys shed light, especially with the podcast we did. You guys, it was so significant to hear again the work you guys are doing, and understanding that it's a huge part of what we do, and you guys do a phenomenal job. So again, it's great that we have those opportunities to talk about that. I do want to bring up, and Danny, I know you hate when I do this, but you bring people in all the time, and it wasn't just my kids. You brought in the NC State guys. So when you're talking about inviting people into your shop, like you've already done that. Yes, you're not handing the whole thing over, but you had 15-year-olds running around your field, and granted, they did okay. You said they did great, but I'm saying okay. But it's stuff like that I think where, Travis, what you're saying, when we can portray that to the younger generation, that's something that's going to shift everything, because they were talking about it when it came to trickle-down effect. Nick McKenna said earlier today, trickle-down effect from NFL down to high school. It should be sort of the opposite when it comes to highlighting the good parts of this industry, the people, the camaraderie. If we're able to get on the ground level with the student who's in high school and say, hey, Danny literally will answer the phone call for one of my kids, no problem. I know you guys would too, but it's just, they're high school students. It's not something that's normal, It's something that can change sort of what the outlook of this industry is, and you guys do a phenomenal job of that. So I think those are things that are definitely really important to sort of highlight and bring into the fold when it comes to, again, those bright spots of our industry, Sorry, I'm getting off kilter here. One of the things that I'm really interested in, obviously going international and obviously being at all the events, the culture behind everything, you get to see all those things firsthand outside the stadium, but seeing that sort of come into the NFL world, what is that sort of like for you guys? And taking your time at Kansas City, Charlotte, and again, everywhere that you guys, New England and Atlanta, and then seeing sort of all of that come together through a different culture in a way, if that's the right question I'm asking, it makes sense. But seeing that culture sort of take on the NFL in a way.
Like the cultures of where we go, where we travel to?
So like Germany, Mexico, England, what are those cultures kind of like mixing in with the NFL atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, obviously those 3 locations that we've been, they're sports fanatics out there, right? So you're talking, we're playing in English Premier League stadiums and the English national team stadium, right? So, that is like sacred ground for soccer. And so is Bayern Munich. You're talking about one of the most popular clubs in the world. So, these people have a sports fanatic to them, right? We've seen it grow in London. Year over year, we've been there for a long time now. Year over year, we're seeing like a normal, steady group of fans that are there. And same with Mexico. I think we were all blown away by what we saw in Germany. And I think when we go back next year, it's going to be even more insane to see how much it's grown over time. And we're seeing the NFL give marketing rights to teams to go out. I think both you guys are working for clubs that are going to be able to market in Germany. And the cultures are fun.
Yeah, I think I haven't been international yet, and I hope to be able to get over there and help out too. But I know the Patriots are huge in the German market. That's one of the market. The team, they were one of the teams to get into that market and have done a ton of work. They went over there. We didn't play in Germany last year, but we had watch parties. We had they were there for weeks. Just hosting parties, and we've got a really great kind of hold in that culture already. And I think like Nick said, that they're sports fanatics. All these different places are, and it just like us. I think soccer is getting bigger and bigger in the U.S. too, and they're very. It seems like they're very willing to embrace football and these different sports in those cultures as well. It's great.
Obviously, you got to see Germany. What was that like, culturally? Why? I know you were excited. I talked to you before you went. You're like, dude, this is going to be awesome. What was it like for you?
It was cool. I wanted to do them all. I wanted to do London for similar reasons to Travis, right? I want to see the technology that they deploy to kind of combat their environments and the forward thinking there for similar reasons. In our future, who knows? We might, later down the line, if we get an opportunity to do that, or elsewhere, if we can be of service, that's awesome. But just the culture for me, and one of my assistants, Andrew King, went to Mexico. For him. Cheese. Queso.
So people know who we're talking about.
Sorry,
yeah.
queso.
We made a
queso
queso in Mexico, but yeah.
Yeah.
So he was great, by the way.
Yeah,
awesome addition, and can tell he works for you. Came in with a good level of detail and was doing things the right way. It's awesome.
He got some. He had some good training under Brian Johnson at ASU, and then Sporting KC, and then with us. But for him, that was a big one for him. He wanted to do. I think he had studied abroad in college, so he's Spanish speaking, and so for him to go there and experience that, he was very comfortable already going there. And when that opportunity arose, it was easy. It was, hey, soccer season's over. First of all, obligations are good. If you want to go experience that, by all means. And he was super thankful. It sounded like he had a great time. Everything he said about that, similar to Germany. The fans are crazy, wild, loud. It's just different. But I think it's that soccer environment that we see that we don't have here yet. mixed with it, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And to see that kind of bleed in, inevitably some of those fans are going to bleed into the games here in the States, and those environments will continue to grow. But I'm excited to, at any opportunity to go back and continue to be a part of that growth. It's really cool.
And Travis, you've been multiple times, right, over to England? Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I've only been one. This was
okay.
the first time I got to go. So, for me, look, I'll work every international game that our schedule allows me to work, just because, one, I just enjoy being part of it, but I also enjoy just seeing other places. I want to see everything I possibly can of anything that I can bring back here to make us better. That's really the ultimate goal is are you getting better at what you do? I get asked a lot, like, I don't keep track. I don't keep track of anything that we do. There's literally nothing written down of, we put fruit out here, we did this, we did that. I don't ever want to rely on notes of what I did the year before. I want to be able to walk out, look at it, and say, we need to do this, or if I can use something that I saw in London or Germany down the road, or Mexico, anything that I see that I'm like, man, that makes a lot of sense, that I can take that back to Arrowhead and try to make us better with that information. I mean, that's what you're constantly looking for. That's what I'm constantly looking for.
So, Nick, I'll go back to you for this. Obviously, it's a new role for you and everything, and it's an awesome opportunity, incredible stuff going on. For you, what is it sort of planning-wise? Obviously, you have a certain amount of events, and that's growing more and more every day. What's sort of your timetable getting things set up, whether that's people, the event itself, working with that grounds crew? What is sort of that schedule for you? And planning,
Yeah, so obviously learning it, right? So came in right before the games last year and transitioned into it quickly and kind of had to jump on a few things.
Sure.
This year, already having regular conversations with personnel from the league on where we're going to play, looking at tentative schedules, trying to understand what are our needs going to be. And really the biggest thing for me is I've got an absurd amount of notes from these games this year, right? Referencing them and trying to figure out what do we need to do differently? What didn't we have this year? What went wrong? What went right? And it's taking all that and making sure that we deliver a better product this coming year and making sure that we're even more prepped. Every season these guys have gone into, each year, you're more prepared than you were the last season. Even when you think like, all right, we nailed it this year, we did a great job, and then all of a sudden, you do another off season, and you start to think of a few things. I could do this, or you pick up something new from working somewhere else or talking to someone. So for me, we're already in that cadence, right? We're already talking about upcoming games where we're going to try and play. What do we need to do? What needs to change from last year? And just it's happening now. Obviously, I think those conversations will ramp up a little bit further. There's a lot of Super Bowl talk obviously going on still with that in the coming weeks. But I think as soon as we get into the off season, it's gonna ramp right back up.
Absolutely. So Super Bowl's coming up. Travis, you going?
I am.
Okay, and Nick, you'll be there.
I will.
What are you guys looking forward to? Obviously, already being a part of it and whatnot. What are you guys, again, sort of prepping? Travis still in the heat of it, and obviously you working closely with the NFL, getting ready for this event. What has it been like moving forward?
Well, if Travis's team and the Bills pull it off, I'll find myself in Atlanta for the AFC Championship first for a neutral site.
I heard about that.
Which will delay my travels just a little bit out to Arizona. But honestly, look, the game's fun. Super Bowl is cool, but to a certain extent, once you've done one, you've sort of experienced it, right? And I don't want to make that sound like I'm ungrateful. Like it's still an amazing experience each time you do another one. But the best part about it is working with the crew, like working with the guys, spending time. And there's a lot of time we spend together, right? It's long days, long hours through rehearsals and all this. That time spent with each other. These are some of my best friends right now at this point, and I only see them a few times a year. Right, I see them here. I see them at an international game, or I see them at Super Bowl. Unfortunately, I don't get up to New England as much as I'd want to go see Ryan. I don't get into Charlotte as much as I'd want to see Dan. There's no chance I'm going to Kansas City to see Trav, but
we love you, Travis. Don't worry.
But that's the reality. Is like we call each other up, we text all the time, we send each other stuff on social media, whatever. Like these are some of my best friends in the world, strictly from such small amounts of time spent together. in the trenches more or less together, right, and putting in the work. And that's what I look forward to, just meeting the new guys on the crew who haven't done Super Bowls in the past, seeing the guys who have done tons of them at this point, learning and just the camaraderie of being part of the culture.
How about you, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I haven't seen Arizona Stadium. I want to see that. I want to see the tray go in. I want to see the tray go out. I want to see everything that entails. I obviously want to see what Andy's challenges are of just what he faces. The biggest thing for me, constantly wanting to sign up for Super Bowls, is what Nick said. Is just the guys. That's one. I usually, this will be, potentially the 5th year in a row that I host the AFC Championship. And in that, I'm going to bed at 1 a.m. I'm getting up at 4, and I'm headed to the airport to get to the Super Bowl. Like, since I signed back up to work the Super Bowl, host the AFC Championship every year. So it's been, I usually get there, I'm pretty tired. The biggest thing for me is just to get to 1,000,000% honest. I don't have to make one decision, right? I don't have to make any decisions. So it's nice to show up and just be like, hey, what are you going to do? You're going to go paint hashes, numbers, you're going to go measure the field. Like, what are you going to do? I'm 1,000,000% fine with that. But the biggest thing is just talking to guys and trying to just pick brains of, like, how do you paint your white border? How do you do this? How do you do that? And just stupid shop talk. Nick and I usually have a bourbon or two, just hanging out. I'm pretty known for being in the room to, if you need to come have a drink and hang out. That's
every night.
That's what I want to do.
What are we drinking now? Okay, let's talk bourbon.
Anybody that knows me,
what are we doing? What's
anybody
your
that
go-to?
knows me knows
Elijah
I
Craig
can
small
talk
batch.
grass all day or bourbon.
I don't know how
Grass
many.
or bourbon.
I don't know how many bottles Trav and I went through in LA, but it was every night. It was get back, stream some sort of like. I think we watched stuff on John Daly and Bill Belichick, and we just watched sports stuff after all day talking sports.
30. It was 30 for 30s.
Yeah, 30 for 30.
We had some 30 for 30s and maybe The Last Dance. I think we had some of The Last Dance too, if I remember right.
We did that. So it was that, and it was a few glasses of Elijah Craig small batch.
Very nice.
And that was it. Wake up the next day and do it again.
Some shop talk. I mean, shop talk along with everything else. Just how do we get better? That's the thing. Is I think that the reason that everybody at this table, we all get along so well, and really most of the guys in the league, is we all do want to get better and learn from each other and help each other and take the industry to another level if possible.
Absolutely. And that was my next question. It's like, how do you guys see the NFL guys sort of unique in your own way when it comes to, again, sort of the bond between the league and the guys and everyone that's trying to, again, make yourself better and better your facilities, better your staff, management practices. People don't understand how much time, effort, and energy you guys give as the leaders, whether it's managing your staff, people, what they're going through in their lives, bringing that full circle to ensuring you're getting the best out of your guys, and obviously trying to have the best playing service possible. What is it about the NFL groundskeepers that is unique in your eyes when it comes to these things?
Good question. I don't know. I kind of defer to Trav on that. He's been around the longest.
I mean, look, I think the coolest thing about it is how tight-knit it is, Even when I first took over in Kansas City, I would call Tony Leonard. I would call Chris Ekton. I would call, anybody that I knew had been around very long at all. I mean, I hadn't even met these guys, right? I'm getting their numbers from whoever I can get their numbers from, and I'm calling them out of the blue. The first year I took over, it was the first year we had heat, and we had a game. It was -5 overnight, going to be like 10 degrees is a high. And the only person I know that deals with that is Alan Johnson, right? I've never talked to Alan Johnson in my life. And I call him out of the blue, and I'm like, hey, dude, you're the only person that I can think of that has probably seen these temps, and I literally have no idea where to set my heat to keep my field from freezing. I don't know where to set it. And he's like, 65. Put it on 65. And I'm like, All right, cool.
Done.
That's what makes it cool, though, is anybody in the league can literally call anyone at any point in time, and no one's like, man, I don't want to talk to this guy. You know what I mean? Like, everyone literally legitimately is invested as a whole into the league. And when you do that, and you can help anyone in any scenario, it only makes the rest of us better.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I called Nick, and people from my facility have called Nick, and Ryan as well. Just, you know, we were grass, we switched over to synthetic, and I didn't know anything about synthetic, you know, and we relied on the people that had similar systems, similar knowledge and experience and of what we were about to get into, and we learned. And
Came and visited.
Yeah, came and visited, watched their removal process, watched a transition. You know, not once I ever pick up that phone and someone say, nah, I don't want to tell you that, Lenny.
I'm good.
So
I'm not in the loop on that one, but we'll talk about it later.
So, but no, I mean, that's the shop talk, and the connection of the Super Bowl is.
Yeah.
I got a nickname Lenny because someone misunderstood my name Danny, and then it turned to Denny, and it was, excuse me, Lenny. So, but that's
a
like
hard
that for me. It's one thing I just enjoy too. Like, I like being called Lenny at the Super Bowl. It's just it's something that's fun, keeps it, you know, lighthearted. But to piggyback off something that Travis said about those experiences and how we all kind of interact is each one of us in the head rolls they're busy, you know, minds a million minutes or miles a minute every day. And when we get to go to those things, you kind of get to, or at least I feel fortunate and happy to get to go back to being a grunt, for lack of a better term. I want to paint the hashes. I want to paint lines. I want to hold a board. I'll hold a hose, anything to do the things we love about our job that sometimes we get taken away from and we don't get to do anymore. That presents plenty of opportunity to do so. And that for me is one of my favorite things about it, at least those experiences, and not making those decisions every day. And there's a beauty of being able to just do the work again, because we don't always get to do it every day. So,
Absolutely. Ryan, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll let you know if and when I get to work a Super Bowl at some point.
This isn't just a Super Bowl. This is everything, you know?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's at the kind of beating a dead horse, but at the same time, it's true. It's the opportunity to call anyone, but also in Travis brought kind of what he was talking about when he called Alan. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people in our industry that would be afraid to make that phone call for fear of for feeling inadequate. Like, I don't know this. I should know this. You know, I'll just try and figure it out on my own. Where, like, that's why we build this network of peers, and so that we can rely on each other, because none of us know everything. No, none of us. And it's building that resource so that I can call Travis and bug him about a question about a heating system, because I just got ours. And, you know, I'm looking at potentially getting irrigation cannons on our stadium field, and Danny's got the ones we're looking at, so call him, ask him questions about it, and just not being afraid to reach out to these guys. And whether, and not just in the industry. The industry is great too, because we all know what we're dealing with generally on a day-to-day basis. But, you know, whether it's university guys or you know, international people, anything that we're dealing with, somebody in our industry probably has dealt with it before. And the ability to make those phone calls and have those conversations is just an incredible resource.
Absolutely. Something that I love to hear about from your guys this season. Sort of what's been your highlight 2022 NFL season for you guys individually, whether that's abroad, whether that's in your own stadiums, going and seeing someone. What was sort of your highlight this year when it came to, again, you guys work so hard and you're extremely dedicated to what you do, and I can't even imagine, again, the level of stress and all the things you guys deal with. What was the thing that, again, whether it was funny, great, a satisfactory moment, like we're like, oh, everything was worth it, you know? What was it for you this season, and how did that sort of shape moving forward what you want to do sort of coming in 2023?
I think for me, like, if I think of like the moments that were highlights for me, and a lot of people have probably seen them, is and it's maybe like a cliche at this point, but I've got 5 of them, and it's the 5 post-game selfies. The 5 international games. At the end, we've always come together, and we've taking a selfie together, right? It's got to be a selfie. It can't be like a group shot. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Mike Reno is usually the guy who shoots it. If Mike's not there, we try and default to whoever's got the next set of longest arms. But that moment is the moment where we finally take like a breath, right? And we're like, hey guys, great job. Like we got through it. We got what we had to get done. We're successful. And we just take a moment to just thank each other. And I think that's the part of the culture that has become so natural that people maybe get to see, is like there's true unity amongst the crew. And most of the time you see faces that you don't know because it's the international crews that are out there at their own stadiums that we're trying to join in. Hey, come get in this photo with us. Yeah. You know what I mean? You guys were part of this success. For me, that's probably it. I mean, each of the games are fun. But I think it really comes down to just being with people who are similar, like-minded, are uniting for one goal.
That's awesome. I mean, I think there's so many, honestly, and it's cliche to say or whatever, but I think one of the things for us this year that was different, but also rewarding, was we were able to finally do a throwback logo on the stadium field. And
it looked incredible, by the way.
Appreciate it. That credit 100% goes to our guys. You know what I mean? Like, we've been talking about that for a couple of years, and the NFL finally changed their helmet rule where you can switch it up, and so we finally got approval to get everything stenciled out, and figured out what games we were going to do it. And I mean, our head assistant for the football training facility, Tyler, was so excited about it, and we wanted to lay it out in the bubble and figure out what was the right way to paint it, because it's a pretty intricate logo compared to our normal Elvis, which is pretty simple. And it took us a while to get through it, but it was really incredible to watch the guys and how much pride they took in it. We had a couple guys on their phones looking at the logo and figuring out which connects where, and it was just everybody kind of came together. And like Nick was saying, is everybody comes together and gets the job done together. And that's the type of thing where we paint logos every single week. It's just secondhand at this point, but to do something special like that, to see the reaction of the fans in New England and how much they loved it, and the response that we got from them was great. But for me, it was having the guys come together and take so much pride in it and have it turn out really well. So
that's awesome. Yeah. It's definitely awesome.
I think I have a few, but
give them all. We're where you want to hear.
I mean, we had a similar situation with our marketing department giving us a little bit more freedom to paint different logos. We did a throwback end zone that hasn't been done in a really long time, and it was the most fun we've had painting. There was no straight lines. Everyone could do it. Couldn't really mess it up. It was really fun because, admittedly, I'm pretty anal about certain things, and it allowed me to just let my guys all go for it, and they all had such a fun time painting that end zone. That was really cool to see. Germany was a unique experience. Never forget that. And I find myself just bored scrolling through my pictures, and I'm like reliving those moments. And it's similar to the selfie thing. Like, you go through and you relive that later on, and those are the experiences rather than like a possession. It's something you lived, and you can't forget that. But the real big thing for me was bringing people in this year. One thing that's kind of near and dear to me, and like what I want to do with my career and in this platform and my role, is bring people in and teach. I enjoy teaching the younger, newer staff that I have on my staff, just kind of seeing them calculate it, learn it, and then execute it it's rewarding. So when we get these opportunities, especially when you brought your high school kids in, that was a one-of-a-kind thing for me this year, and I hope we can do that every year. But just bringing guys in from all over the industry. So one of the hardest things of my year turned out to be the highlight. So the conversions that we had were the hardest things we had to do. We had some really bad weather scenarios leading up to certain conversions. We're staring at that calendar all year long, and we're like, in April, looking at it, no, there's no way. There's no way it's going to rain. No way it's going to rain. Home opener, Charlotte FC on Saturday, Panthers on Sunday, and it's going to rain. And but in those scenarios, I'm thankful that our management was willing to let me bring in people as contract labor. And, I reached out to everyone in my network, and it didn't have to be regional. It was Joe Hill came from Iowa, Leah came from Reno. People were coming from all over just to be a part of it, just to learn, experience it, volunteering to come for free. We put people in hotels, we paid them, and it was cool because, we had an experience that a lot of people would never get to come paint an NFL field. Not everyone's going to get to go do a Super Bowl, but that was kind of that for them, right? So we were able to kind of provide a mini version of that to them. They got to learn things, we got to learn things from them, and then fast forward to you guys coming. I can't explain that experience because it was unique, and getting these high school kids coming in, people are like, oh, what are they going to do? But they jumped in, and they were good. They were good at what they were doing. They listened. They were little sponges. They showed interest. They wanted to be there, and all of that was contagious to my guys. We were at the end of our grind. Everyone's beaten down. They're tired. It's a long season, and these kids come in, and all of a sudden they're asking questions, and my guys are forced to answer it, and it makes them learn or prove their knowledge because now they're teaching. And so when you teach, I feel like you're learning more. So it was cool to see my guys that aren't in those roles, leadership roles, become little mini leaders in those moments with them. And then all the way through the ACC and the bowl game, right? So we invited Casey Carrick and his guys from UNC to participate. The guys from Clemson came, and that was a weight off my shoulders, and that I could say, Casey, I need you and your guys to paint your end zone, and they did it. And we just focus on logos. I mean, that was amazing to me, extremely helpful. So we had a discussion that from now on, every ACC game and bowl game, we're going to try to invite the grounds crews of participating schools to come paint their end zones, and our team will tackle logos. So we had a lot this year. I mean, I know that was a lot, but it was an exciting year, busy year, hardest year of my career, but it was cool.
Those are the moments we live for, right? So Travis, how about you?
I got like 3 of them, maybe 4. I mean, really, obviously, for our home opener, we got to dial it back to the old school 1972 when Arrowhead opened, the original end zone design that George did. In 72, we brought George in, let him help us paint it. He tracked a lot of paint, but what else you got to do at 93? It was fun to have him there, and just to let him. Obviously, the London trip was super, super cool for me personally. It's the first time I've been anywhere but Mexico outside the country, so I really enjoyed it. It was good to work, with Nick. And Danny, you can ask Nick. He's my reference. But if you need a really good paint dryer, you get Rain down the road. I'm your guy. I'm gonna put Nick down as the reference. You can talk to him. But it went pretty good. And then really, we got the new LED light from SGL to try for the rest of the season, and I got turf pods in probably November, December. And what I'd be able to see with the turf pods, with the grow lights, with just where I have 6 turf pods. I have them all over the stadium field. But one, it opened my eyes to the fact that we're probably been a month behind actually using grow lights in the past. And 2, just seeing what, we have 4 different lights at Arrowhead right now. So to see what each one puts out and to have that knowledge going forward has been really fun. I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes and check the turf pods to see what soil temps are at, what things are doing, just because I'm a grass geek. So
Absolutely. I do want to touch base on one thing. Obviously, me being a high school program and what my passion is in this industry. You guys are inspirations to all my kids. All of you have influenced at least one of my students very particularly with your career, from listening to the podcast, following you guys on social media. What would you say has been sort of a point in your work that is sort of like bringing in that next generation? It's not high school students, but like, again, assistants coming in, you moving to the NFL role, obviously having someone come into your old role at Mercedes-Benz. What has it been like to sort of bring in that next generation and have an impact, again, moving forward, and again, bringing in what's going to be the next group, to sort of take the mantle up and move forward when it comes to turfgrass managers in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've had the luxury of managing a crew for quite a few years now, and been able to bring up guys and promote full-time part-timers to full-timers, full-timers to assistants or supervisors, all the way up to Parker being promoted up to the manager of field and grounds, even while I was still there when I had promoted to my assistant director position. So being able to see and be a part of that and see the growth from guys that you're putting a lot of energy into, when they start to succeed out of it and get on board with the processes and start to grow, I mean, it's super fulfilling for you, but it's amazing to see them. I've gotten to have assistants leave and go have success elsewhere, and I mean, that's really the goal, right? Is to continue to be a steward of the industry and grow the next group, and you're doing it every day. And the role I'm in now with the NFL adds a different level that I can do it at in different types of experiences.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily the day-to-day mentoring that Danny and Ryan and Travis are still doing, but I'll continue to find ways to help promote the next group.
Yeah, I think I was lucky in my time in Maryland with Jared. He was so focused on training people and not necessarily, his goal was never to keep somebody long term. And it wasn't because he didn't like the people that we worked with. It was because his goal was to get people in, get them trained, and get them ready to go for that next position. So whether it's at the soccerplex or somewhere else. And, he created a pretty good lineage of people, and that, I learned from him to try and do that myself, because I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for him and all the other people that I worked with. And all we can do as managers is try and promote that for our staff as well. And we want to make sure that when we're hiring people, they understand that we'll keep you as long as we possibly can, selfishly, but we want to make sure that you're prepared, because when you get that call, and you're going to get that call for that next assistant role, or maybe you're ready for a head job, we want you to be ready and prepared for whenever that opportunity happens.
Absolutely.
Travis, you want to go?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Look, I don't think. I know. For me personally, I wouldn't be where I am if someone didn't invest in me, right? I've had plenty of jobs I probably should have been fired at just because I did the things that, I mean, honestly, when I was younger, man, I was hell on wheels, man. I had a really good time. I worked hard, I played hard, and it's one that someone. What did he say?
Nothing at all. You were hell on wheels. You're still hell on wheels.
I heard something broken up. It's a good thing I was broken English. No, I mean, look, I feel like it's our job. It's part of the job is bringing the next generation in. I don't want them to make the same mistakes that I've made. I want to help any way I possibly can to make anyone that works for me ever successful. People did that for me. They answered the million questions that I asked. And they took their time to say, look, man, I can't answer all these questions right. A lot going on, but it's back after or whatever. I try to do the same things for my guys. If you got questions or things you want to learn, there's things you want to do on your time, make sure that you get to do it, because my ultimate goal is I want them to be successful, right? I think all of us want our people to be successful, and none of us would have been if someone didn't want that for us. So I feel like it's a kind of a pay it forward type of gig where it's part of what our responsibility is, and if you're not looking at it that way, then you're probably going down the wrong path.
All right, I'll wrap it up on this. Any big plans 2023?
Hold on.
Whoa.
Before we get off the subject of bringing up staff, I'm not going to sit down with you, Drew, and not take an opportunity to thank you for what you're doing at your program, because you don't talk positively enough about what you're doing, and I get that, but the next generation of our industry is coming from not necessarily as much as it used to through the typical four-year program. And a program like yours and the promotion that you're doing and doing things like this, I hope that we can eventually, get some staff or have you guys up and help us out and continue to build that network. So we can go with your next question, but I just wanted to get that in to make sure that, I know, and I don't normally speak for other people, but I know everybody else on this podcast would say the same thing, that we appreciate what you're doing for the industry.
100%.
Well, I really appreciate that.
1,000,000%.
Thank you.
A million and 1%.
Now we're talking.
We opened up a can of worms, though, because now everyone wants to bring the Brentsville High kids out to work.
Hey,
and
if I can
experience
make
their-
it happen.
but I can bring them overseas.
Oh, gosh.
See? Here we go. This is what it's about, though. This is
like
good.
The topper. He's like, I'll see your 5. I'll raise you a billion.
Oh, no, again, and I really appreciate that, because it really is like my life's work, honestly. I love my kids and I love my program and everything that we're doing, but it's the focus, bringing awareness. Obviously, 200 kids, we're not going to get 200 sports field managers out of that, but we'll have 200 people that have parents, that have friends, that have community members that know who we are now because of their experience in our program. So
absolutely,
that's what it's all about, and I really do appreciate that. It means a lot. It means the world to me. So
I want to pick up a point real quick of something you said in your seminar earlier.
Oh,
about
gosh.
This is a good point you made, because not every student in that program is going to graduate and go into turf, but the ones, especially the athletes, for example, it was the example you used. Those kids are going to go on to advocate for our industry later down the line, and that's so true, because they're going to be the ones who, and we don't see it a lot in football, because you see it in baseball where the managers had to take care of a field at one point. You don't see that in football as much, but when you get a kid who goes on, and maybe he's not in turf, but he's in a D2 school, or he's at Parks and Rec or something, doing any sort of job not related to turf, he knows what it's about because he went through your program. And then they advocate for you, and that's just as important. And
100%.
then maybe down the line they tell someone who may not have known, and just secondhand now they're interested. So it goes a lot farther, many more degrees than I think people realize. And again, every single one of us in the industry is thanking you right now for what you're doing, because we're going to see the fruits of the labor all the work that you're putting in. And I know you don't take the credit you deserve, but it's
all
really
of my
true.
kids, and I do a lot behind the scenes that I'll never let anybody actually know, but it's all to my kids, and we wouldn't be where we are without them. And you've met many of them, and it's just their passion for what we have, and wanting them to take that next step to be a part of this is just something that, it keeps me going, and that's huge. Something that I really love. But I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time today. This has been phenomenal, and we could talk for hours, but I don't want to keep you anymore, because obviously this is a great time for you guys, and you guys gave me plenty of it. So again, thank you so much.
Hey, I got nothing going on. That's what the morning.
We're gonna log off. Travis gonna drink some whiskey with you for the rest of the night.
I can talk to these. I can talk to
Travis,
these
I'm
guys
sending
all
you a
night.
bottle of bourbon, okay, to apologize for me being a jerk and being insensitive to the situation we have right here.
Listen, I'm 1,000,000% okay with it. I'm not upset about it.
I know. But
Listen, I'm gonna give you crap every chance I get. And
I love it.
They will not.
that means hopefully
I'm
that
gonna
you
throw a
like me.
jab
That's
time I get an opportunity.
Hey, Trev, we're gonna really enjoy watching your beautiful field on the comfort from our own homes and couches.
the warmth.
The warmth.
Well,
The warmth part's gonna
True
be my
story.
thing.
Good luck, Trav.
Yeah. Good
Right
luck,
now,
man.
right now, the weather's not looking great. Like, snow keeps moving closer and closer to pregame, so I don't really know how long it's going to be beautiful. We'll see.
It looked beautiful yesterday.
How this whole thing pans out. Hey, look, I threw some Pervade at it, and we're going to try to get moisture down. We're going to try to get soil moisture down to like maybe 12, 15% and see if it just wants to eat the first like half inch or so that comes down. We'll see what we get, you know. It is what it is. You know what it is in January. Look, it's hard to grow grass up until January 30th or whatever we're going at these days. That extra week, man, it's crazy what even that means in this time of year. So, you guys enjoy your couch and warmth of your home. And,
I'll be in the lobby.
I'll be happy for you.
I'll shoot you a text saying, thinking of you.
Yeah, I hope to see all of you soon for sure. I wish I was in Salt Lake, but
Absolutely.
I'm in my detached garage, hanging out. So
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Well, good luck this weekend, Trey.
Yeah.
See you in March.
Thank you guys again for all that you do.
Thank you.
Of course. So, again, I hope you guys have a great rest of your time here at SFMA.
Thank you, Drew.
And your garage, you know, there's always that. All right,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
done.
No, the garage. I wrote SFMA on the wall.
Are we done recording?